So the next training is on task analysis. So what that means is you're going to be breaking down a large skill into small sequential steps. So you may hear this when you hear, what is ABA? And one of the defining components is breaking down things into smaller steps. So this goes for several skills. All of our programs are pretty much taught in this format. So an example might be we want the child to identify 10 different items. That might be one of our overall goals for a child for an authorization period. So with that, we break it down into several small measurable steps. So we would individually teach what we call targets. So we would teach 10 different things and we would teach them sequentially until the child meets the overall goal. So a more functional way to look at it for you is looking at a big thing that we might use a task analysis for is a self-care goal. So perfect example being brush your teeth. If you think about it, if we were to tell our child to brush their teeth, they'd probably look at us like we're crazy because there's a lot that goes into it. So when we look at it and break it down, that's really what we want to do for a child to set them up for success. So when you're brushing your teeth, think about all the steps that you actually go through to do that one skill. So you get your toothbrush, you get the toothpaste, you turn the water on, get your toothbrush wet, put the toothpaste on, brush for however long you brush, and whatever procedure you use to brush, left side, right side, bottom side, top side, tongue, whatever order you go in, rinse, spit, turn the water off, and then return the toothbrush and toothpaste to where it goes. And I know there's a lot of other skills that I missed, but that's just to kind of give you an idea of what's involved in one seemingly simple skill for us. So in order to teach that skill, typically what we would do is have you identify the steps that are involved in that. So kind of like I just mentioned, a lot of people brush their teeth differently and in a different order. Like probably between me and my husband, we probably do it completely different and our task analyses are going to look different. So when teaching a skill using a task analysis, I would recommend either observing the task. So how have you been prompting your child to brush their teeth? And then another way that you can do it is do it yourself and write down every step that is involved with you brushing your teeth, and then you can teach your child the same way. Same goes for like shoe tying. A lot of people tie their shoes differently. Some use the loop, swoop, and pull. Some use the bunny goes around the bush. It just kind of depends on probably how you learned or what was easiest for you. So you'll kind of use that as a foundation of your task analysis and break down each individual step. So some task analyses may have 30 steps, but if that's the case, then typically we would suggest steps within the steps. So in another training, we'll talk a little bit about how to teach using different procedures with a task analysis. But the purpose of this was just to kind of talk to you about what that is. So another example would be dressing. So again, if you think about it, putting a shirt on seems like a fairly simple skill to us, but if you think about it, there's kind of a lot of things that go hand in hand with that. So you have to put your arm in one hole, put your other arm in the other hole, put your head through the hole, pull, make sure the tag's in the right spot, make sure it's right side in, make sure it's not backwards. So those are all skills that are important to break down for a child. So again, I kind of provided the examples of brushing your teeth and dressing and shoe tying, but most self-care skills are lengthier skills like that, and you can break down using a task analysis. So like doing laundry, packing a lunch, getting ready for school, getting ready for bed, all of those things can be, broken down even further into another task analysis. And if you also think about it too, there can be more than just one in one specific skill area. So an example, going back to the toothbrushing thing, like taking the lid off the toothpaste and squeezing it on the toothbrush, that could be a full another separate task analysis because it's a more complex skill than just getting the toothpaste and applying it. So just kind of depending on, what skills you feel like your child needs to specifically address will kind of dictate what steps you should have in your task analysis. So you can break it down as thoroughly as you feel like you need to, or you can kind of breeze over some steps if you feel like your child can already turn the water on, get their toothbrush and toothpaste. They're opening it already by themselves. So maybe, your task analysis is just for brushing because now they've got all the other skills and you're just focusing on all right, left side for 20 seconds, right side for 20 seconds, and kind of working on going back and forth. Then if that's the case, then you can individually target a task analysis just for that skill instead of for the whole spiel if your child's already fairly independent with it. So your task analysis, my point is it can be as long as you need it to be for your kid to be successful, or it can be short and sweet, but knowing that it still needs to potentially be broken down to set your child up for success. And that is the gist of task analysis. Like I said, I'm going to do another one on chaining, which is a specific way to teach a task analysis.